Chapter 51. The Powerful. Abuses of Power and Wars. The fleeting delirium of power and earthly greatness. It is I who place the trials in your path to restrain your spirit when it distances itself from the path of my law to live subject only to its free will. Examine the trials carefully I permitted of you, that you may prove to yourselves that each of them is like a chisel that shapes your heart. That is one reason why pain brings you closer to me. Man has always sought pleasures and has always pursued the power and greatness to make himself Lord on earth and king over his own brothers. If I have always created all of you with the same love, why have there always been those who attempted to be superior to others? Why have there always been those who drive humanity by humiliation and the whip? Why are there those who repudiate the humble and whose hearts are not moved by the suffering they inflict on their fellow men? It is because these are spirits that have not yet recognized me as only owner of all that exists, the Father who loves all his creatures. That is why there are men who do not recognize and who usurp the sacred rights of men. They act as my instruments of justice and, believing themselves lords and kings, are only servants. Forgive them. Behold the monarchs and the lords of the earth. How brief is their reign and their glory. Today they are raised up by their people, and tomorrow are thrown from their thrones. Do not any of you seek your thrones in this life, for believing yourselves to advance, you shall be halted, and your destiny is to go forward without stopping until you come to the gates of my kingdom. I tell you truly that the day of those now powerful shall end, to give way to those who are great, strong, powerful, and wise through the love and charity they hold for their fellow men. Those men who today feed only on ambitions of power and earthly greatness know that their most powerful enemy is spirituality. That is why they fight it, and when they anticipate the struggle that now grows close, that of the spirit against evil, they fear to lose their possessions and therefore resist the light that surprises them at every step in the form of inspirations. How needy are those who arrived at my celestial door, having been great and powerful on earth, for they had forgotten the spiritual gems and the road of eternal life. While the truth of my kingdom is revealed to the humble, it is hidden from the wise and educated, for they would do with spiritual wisdom what they have done with material science, which is to seek, in that light, thrones for their vanity and weapons for their wars. The arrogant exercise of power over persons and nations. Behold those men who lead peoples, creating doctrines and imposing them on men, each preaching the superiority of his own doctrine. Yet I ask, what has been the fruit of all of them? War, with its accompanied misery, suffering, death, and destruction. That has been the harvest that the apostles of such theories have gathered on earth. Behold, I have not counteracted humanity's free will, though I can tell you that the conscience, above it, speaks unceasingly to the heart that departs from justice, charity, or reason. If Hamashiach were to return as man in this time, he would not again say, as on Calvary, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. For you now receive the full light of the conscience, and your spirits have evolved much. Who does not know that I am the giver of life, and that therefore none may take that of their brother? As man cannot give existence, neither is he authorized to take what he cannot repay. Humanity, do you believe you are complying with my law because you say you have religion and comply with the outward forms of worship? In the law you were told, thou shalt not kill. You profane this commandment, spilling in torrents the blood of your brothers upon the altar of your sin. I propose peace to the world, but the arrogance of nations puffed up in their false power and false splendor rejects the call of conscience, allowing them to be dragged about by their ambitions and their hatreds. Man does not yet incline toward the good, toward justice, and toward reason. Men still rise up to judge the causes of their fellows. They still believe they can do justice. Do you not believe that instead of judges, they should be called executioners and assassins? The men of power have forgotten that there exists an owner of all lives, and they take the lives of their fellows as though they were their property. The multitudes clamor for bread, justice, a home, and clothing. I shall do justice, not men, nor their doctrines. Blessed people, these men who arise full of greatness and prominence among the nations and peoples of the earth are great spirits invested with power and bearers of great missions. They are not in service to my divinity. They have not placed their greatness or their gifts in the service of love and charity. They have formed their world, their law, their throne, their vassals, their dominions, and all that they might desire. Yet, when they feel their thrones tremble amidst the trials, when they feel the invasion of a powerful enemy near, or when they see their wealth or their names in danger, they rise up with all their strength, full of false greatness, earthly vanity, hatred, and ill will, and launch themselves at their enemy, giving no thought to their works or their ideas, leave behind only the tracks of pain, destruction, and evil. They seek only the destruction of the enemy and the erection of a greater throne that give them greater dominion over the peoples and their riches, over the daily sustenance and the very lives of men. It is already no longer the time when kingdoms should exist on earth or that strong peoples humiliate the weak. Nonetheless, they exist as proof that in man the primitive tendency to take by force from the weak and conquer by means of violence still prevail. How far men are from understanding the spiritual peace that shall reign in the world. They attempt to impose it through force and threats, which are the fruit of the science they boast of. It is not that I come to disown or to oppose the advances of humanity, for they are also a proof of spiritual evolution, but I do warn you that your boasts of earthly strength and power are not pleasing to me, because by them, instead of lightening the cross of humanity, you outrage the most sacred principles, attempt against lives that do not belong to you, and sow pain, tears, mourning, and blood instead of peace, health, and well-being. Why, given that the source from which you take your science, which is my own creation, and is an inexhaustible well of love, wisdom, life, and life, do your works manifest the opposite? As I said in the second era, I wish equality to reign among my peoples, but not as conceived of by materialized men. I inspire the equality of love, making you understand that all of you are brothers, the children of Elohim. Reflections on the Second World War. These are times of testing, of afflictions and bitterness, times in which mankind suffers the consequences of so much hatred and ill will toward one another. Behold the battlefields where only the sound of firearms and anguished cries of the wounded are heard, mountains of mutilated corpses who only yesterday were bodies of strong young men. Can you imagine these, when for the last time they embrace their mother, their wife, or their child? Who, if he has not drunk from that bitter cup, can imagine the pain of those farewells? Thousands and thousands of anguished parents, wives, and children have seen their loved ones depart for the fields of battle, of hate, and of vengeance, forced by the greed and pride of some few men without light and without love for their fellow men. Those legions of strong young men have not returned home, because destroyed, they remained on the fields. Behold, the earth, Mother Earth, more merciful than those men who govern the peoples and believe themselves master of the lives of their fellow men, has opened her bosom lovingly to receive and cover them. My spirit keeps vigil over every being, and I am watchful even to the last of your thoughts. Surely I say to you that there among the armies who fight for earthly ideals and ambitions, I have discovered during their moments of rest men of peace and goodwill who have been made into soldiers by force. From their heart escapes a sigh when my name emerges from their lips, and the tears run down their cheeks with the memory of their loved ones, parents, wives, children, or brothers. Then their spirit, without any other temple than the sanctuary of their faith, without any altar other than their love, without any light other than that of their spirit, elevates itself before me, asking forgiveness for the deaths that it has unintentionally caused with its weapons. They seek me to ask with all the strength of their being to permit them to return to their home, or that, at least, if they are to fall under the attack of the enemy, to cover with my mantle of mercy those whom they leave on earth. To all those who seek my forgiveness in that manner, I give my blessing, for they are not the ones to blame for killing. Others are the assassins, the ones who will answer to me for what they have done with human lives, once the moment of their judgment arises. Many of them who love peace ask themselves why I have permitted them to be taken to the very fields of battle and death, to which I say to you that if their human understanding is not able to comprehend the reason that underlies all this, their spirit, on the other hand, knows that it is fulfilling a restitution. I ask those who follow me to pray for world peace and to watch over the peace on earth. Nations will soon elevate their prayers to ask me for the peace which I have always proposed to them. I have permitted mankind to first taste the fruit of what they have sowed. I want them to observe the human suffering that exists on earth, the rivers of human blood that has been shed, the mountains of cadavers that exist, and the cities that have been destroyed. I have wanted men with hardened hearts to see the desolation in homes, the desperation among the innocent, and mothers who, driven mad by pain, kiss the dismantled bodies of their children. I want those individuals to become fully aware of the anguish, sorrow, and desperation that exists among humanity so they might feel humiliation due to their arrogance. I want them to hear their consciences so they can become aware that their grandeur, power, and wisdom is a lie, and what is truly great only comes from the divine spirit. When these men open their eyes to the truth, they will become horrified, not of the scenes they observed with their eyes, but of themselves, and unable to run away from the stare and the voice of their conscience, they will feel that they are in a state of darkness, burning with remorse, for they will have to account for each life, every bit of pain, and every last drop of blood which was shed because of them. Step by step, men advance to the valley where they shall be gathered for judgment. Still, those who make war and whose hands are covered with the blood of their brothers dare to speak my name. Are these, by chance, the fruit and flower of the doctrine I have taught you? Did you not learn from Yahushua how he forgave and blessed those who offended him, and how he died giving life to his executioners? Men have doubted my word and lacked faith. That is why they have entrusted all to their own strength. I have allowed them to be deceived by the fruit they harvest from their own works, for only in this way will they open their eyes to see the truth. The despicable nature and senselessness of wars. It is time for love, forgiveness, and humility to appear in the heart of humanity as true weapons to oppose hatred and pride. If men filled with pride and hatred continue to clash with one another, villages and nations will be destroyed, and there will be no peace in the hearts of men. Humanity refuses to recognize that only by living in peace will it find true happiness and be able to progress. Thus, it continues to pursue material power and false greatness, shedding the blood of its brothers, destroying lives, and destroying the faith of mankind. The year 1945 took with it the last shadows of war. The sickle reaped millions of lives, and millions of spirits returned to the spiritual valley. Science astonished the world, and its destructive weapons made the earth tremble. Those who triumphed became the judges and executioners of the defeated. Pain, misery, and hunger expanded, leaving a trail of widows, orphans, and cold in its wake. The plagues advanced from land to land, and even the elements have made heard their voice of justice and reproach at so much evil. A mantle of destruction, death, and desolation is the wake that men who say they are civilized have left the planet. This is the harvest that humanity offers me, but I ask, is this harvest worthy of my granary? Does the fruit of your evil deserve to be received by your Father? I tell you truly that this tree is very different from which you would have sown, complying with the divine commandment that orders you to love one another. When will you achieve the peace of the Spirit if you have not yet achieved peace in your hearts? I tell you that while the last killing weapon has not been destroyed, there shall be no peace among men. Killing weapons are those with which men take lives, murder morality, deprive freedom, damage health, disturb peace, or destroy faith. I shall prove to humanity that their problems are not resolved by force, and that as long as they make use of weapons of death and destruction, no matter how strong and terrible those seem, they shall not be able to make peace between men. On the contrary, they shall bring as their consequence greater hatred and desire for revenge. Only the conscience, reason, and the sentiment of charity can be the foundations upon which an era of peace can be built. But so that this light can shine in men, it is necessary that they first drink the cup of bitterness to the last drop. If the hearts of men were not so hardened, the pain of war would have been enough to make them reflect on their errors and return them to the path of light. But they bear still the bitter memory of the butchery of humans and prepare already for another war. How could you believe that I, the Father, the divine love, would be capable of punishing you through war? Do you believe that he who loves you with perfect love and who wishes you to love one another could inspire in you such crime, patricide, death, vengeance, and destruction? Do you not understand that all of these are due to the materialism that humanity has accumulated in its heart? From the beginning, I made man free, but his freedom has accompanied always by the light of the conscience. In spite of this, he has ignored the voice of his inner judge, distancing himself from the path of the law to the point of causing monstrous and bloody and fratricidal wars in which the sons rise against the father because they have left behind all feelings of humanity, charity, respect, and spirituality. Men should already be fleeing from the destruction and the wars and avoid paying a painful restitution. Understand that if they do not manage to purify themselves in goodness before coming to me, I shall have to send them again to that vale of blood and tears, for he who walks away from perfection cannot come to me. Not all men are found at the same level of understanding. While some marvel at each step, others see everything as flawed. While some dream of peace as the height of spirituality and morality for the world, others proclaim that it is wars that cause men to evolve. About this I tell you, war is not necessary for the evolution of the world. If men use war for ambitious and selfish ends, it is because of the materialism of those who promote those wars. Among them are those who believe only in the existence of this world, for they do not know, or they deny the existence of the spiritual life, and yet are held as wise by humanity. That is why it is necessary that this revelation be known by all. My peace be with you.